Call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Kingman Unified School District, October 14th, 2025. You'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call: Tony Henry,
Lori Grant,
Susan Collins.
Boyd Hardy.
All right. That takes us to item number 4 on the agenda, which is call to the audience. The board will listen to any comment from the public, but will not respond except as permitted by ASR 38-431.01G. The board may refer the item to administration or request to have it placed on a future agenda. And I do have one call to the public by Mr. Robert Kelly, who would like to come up to the microphone. We can give you 3 minutes, but we will not respond to your call to the public.
My name is Rob Kelly. I'm the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church in Kingman, and I'm here to talk about Kim Mariquin, who was a former teacher at Manzanita. I just want the public to know that she was promised, she came to teach with the promise of being able to talk about the Lord Jesus Christ and also being able to talk about the Bible. And because of that, she was put on, well, she was stopped, and then she quit after that. And so I just wanted the public to know that that's what happened. It wasn't in her contract, but she was told verbally that she could do that, and she was excited to do that, and that's why I thought it was kind of odd. But she was told that she would be able to talk about the Lord and the Bible when she came on staff at Manzanita. Then also, she also wrote Bible verses on her board, and then she gave some Bibles away in a treasure chest, and so that's when the school said she had to stop, and then eventually she quit. But I just think it would be, I want to make it public that I think it should be known that KUSD should not pursue punishment in garnishing her wages or bringing her wages back to the school for the work that she's done. I think she's a single mom, has 2 kids, and I think it would be not beneficial for the school board to do that. I also think to bring to the public that she was also told not to tell anybody about this meeting tonight, that she was told not to do that. And I think that she would want to have told people. But so I'm not here to defend her, but I just think that it would be beneficial to the school from the evidence that we know about, not to pursue taking away her salary that she's already worked for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us to item number 5, reports.
President Henry, members of the board, we have 2 reports tonight. I will start with inviting our middle schools up. We can have Kingman Middle go, followed by White Cliffs Middle School to share some exciting opportunities for their students.
Hi, Madam President, members of the board. My name is Christina Weaver. I am the very proud principal of Kingman Middle School, and I'm very excited to be with you this evening. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about Brave Day. So before we get too much into Brave Day, let's talk about Brave. So for students at Kingman Middle School, our Bobcats are expected to be brave. So it's bold, reliable, accountable, valiant, and empower. So on a random day, quizzed me and like it flew. Did we turn it on? No, it says on.
Mr. Gardner can advance it for you.
I know, but I'm like pushing both buttons. He said not to turn back and look at him. There we go. Okay, one too many. There we go. Oh, I think it's working now. Okay, see, the magic was turning and looking. Okay, so bold. So the students came into school one day and plastered all over their hallways was posters for their bold mission. And with the line of, if you are brave enough to accept. And I kind of always joke with, I'm very proud of that line. I think that was very clever. But so their bold mission. So the kids are like, what is the bold mission? Well, I don't know. Are you brave enough to accept the bold mission? And so we talk about, like in the morning announcements and in classrooms, that if you are bold, you are brave enough to apologize first to resolve a conflict. Or you are able to ask for help when you're struggling rather than just sitting there and continuing to be struggling. You will speak up in class. If the teacher says, are there any questions? You're gonna have a question. Or if, like, do you have an idea? Wait, have we thought about this idea? And you can be bold enough to present your work to peers, because we try to do presentations all the time and then it's like they want to go last and like, oh no, you speak. So you're going to be bold and present to your peers. Or maybe what you see is somebody that needs to have somebody else stood up for them, and because they're being excluded or they're being teased or they're being treated unfairly. You know, like, no teacher, he didn't, you know, put the piece of paper on the floor, I did, right? We were bold. So Bobcats are bold. So if staff caught students being bold, they got nominated for the bold mission. So they accomplished that bold mission and then they were invited to that brave day. Okay? So then there was the reliable mission. So the reliable mission is expected to come to class prepared, expected to be honest, to be on time, to help somebody who is lost, to be trustworthy. And again, if they were caught being reliable, then when that brave day happened for reliable, they were invited to that. Accountable, turn your work in on time, bring needed materials to class, admit mistakes and fix them, and then tell the truth. So about this time is when the kiddos realized I really didn't have anything up my sleeve other than I wanted them to be like good citizens. And that was when we all kind of laughed and said, okay, yep, but still the price for Brave Day. So we then, because they caught me, so we combined Valiant and Empower into one last Brave Day for the quarter, but by the end of the 9 weeks, we had taught them every component of Brave. So Valiant, standing up for somebody, ignoring the bully, open the door for somebody, that is my pet peeve, when they just let that door slam and then they laugh. Let somebody else go first or help somebody who needs it. And then Empower, help someone feel better, lift somebody up, like figuratively, not literally. You got to tell them boys that one. Enable another in a positive way, have that growth mindset, and be a leader. So these were the things and the attributes that we spoke about throughout the first 9 weeks of school, with the understanding that now you understand what brave is and you are prepared to be brave. So now when we're walking in the class, like, are you being brave? Like, what part of brave are we missing? And so that's really helped kind of focus those conversations and what we are looking for Bobcats. So without further ado, what's Brave Day? Well, Brave Day is when we all come together to have some fun and celebrate being brave. So students were able to elect and pick which one they wanted to go to. So they had a variety of things to choose from. We didn't just have board games. I have like life-size, giant checkers and sorry, and they loved that. We had chess boards, basketball, flag football, esports, crochet, culinary, anime, Pokemon. Okay, that one was fun. They have books and books. And I can remember being a teacher with like, don't bring your Pokemon cards to school. And now I'm like, bring them. So those were the few. Then there was like painting and coloring, like with the arts and stuff. So the kids got to pick where they wanted to go. And so for 8th hour on Brave Day, the kids then went. If they did not earn Brave Day, they went to their normal 8th hour class. And so just for your viewing pleasure, just a few more pictures of them having a really great time. So there's the Pokemon cards and some more culinary and the checkers. But that's Brave Day. So moving forward, the staff voted to do Brave Day 1 day a month, which kind of excited me because I was thinking like they were not going to be overly enjoyed with that much chaos in the building. But they did. So we'll 1 day a month, if students earn it, they will have Brave Day.
How many students were able to attend?
So the exciting component to that is like on our first Brave Day, we had barely under like 20% that had earned it, but we're up to like over like 36% now. And so like we are heading in the right direction. And the piece that excites me for like Bold, I had a kiddo who is pretty quiet in class, but he visits with me quite a bit. And remember, it's the beginning of the quarter, so it's the beginning of the school year. So it's like, Miss Weaver, I got my hand up in every class, and they're calling on me, but nobody's nominated for me to be Bold. And I was like, oh no. And he's like, I didn't speak once last year. I'm talking all the time with my hand up. And I'm like, but they weren't your teachers last year. Like, you got to tell them that. And he's like, oh. So, I mean, it's just fun. And so then yesterday, the question that I got, like, when's the first Brave Day kind of thing, like that's what they want to know. So it's exciting, it's fun, it's engaging, and then it lets the teachers do something that they love as well. The other unexpected gift is that I didn't realize how we intentionally separate 6th, 7th, and 8th very strategically. And this brings them together. And so like minds playing chess, like minds with the Pokemon cards. They get to see each other for sports, but if they're not interested in the physical sports, they're not really meeting and catching up. So that was neat. And this coming quarter, we're looking to add like book club, and we'll go from there as our classes fill up.
Awesome, wonderful, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hello, President Henry, Dr. Dorner, members of the board. My name is Trish Presnell, I'm White Cliffs principal. At White Cliffs, we develop students who positively impact the world. I am excited today to introduce Stephanie McCowan, our TOA. She has been in this position for 4 years, and when she came into the position, she came in looking for as many positive interactions as she could find. And from that, it started last year, we developed, and her brainchild, our Wolfpack celebration, which really gets to recognize so many students who are doing amazing at school. So, without ado.
Thank you. Let's see if I can get the button right. Okay, I got it. I had to test it.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I am the TOA at White Cliffs Middle School. I've been teaching at White Cliffs for a long time. I think I go back to 2011. I love being a wolf. It is in every fiber that I am. I love what I do. I love our students. I love my coworkers. And I really think that we do develop students who positively impact the world, not only at our level, but at all the levels. And it's amazing to see what some of our kids accomplish. But today I'm going to talk to you about our Wolfpack celebration. It is how it came to be. I went to the leadership team and I said, you know, I want to have incentives for students that make poor choices to make better choices, but I also want students that come to school every day and do what they're supposed to be doing. They never get a pack infraction, they never get a referral, they never even get a sideways glance from somebody. I want those students to be recognized for the accomplishments that they get outside of an academic award. With that, we came together, we threw out some different ideas, and WPCS was born, which is our Wolfpack celebration. We talked a lot about how does that support our mission, and it does in all of these ways, the different ways of rewards affecting students and how they impact students. So they motivate confidence, they impact on social and emotional development, and the impact on academic performance. So it not only is helping them academically, but it's helping them in other categories as well. So what it is, basically at the beginning of every quarter, students are given 100 points. And all they have to do is keep those points. They keep them by making positive choices, being to school, being focused on their academics, making positive choices. They can lose them when they get pack infractions, which I did briefly describe for the terminology. It's basically, it's a little ticket the kids get as kind of, it gets them out of disrupting the educational process for all the other students, but gives them a chance to reset, reflect on what occurred, and make those changes prior to them turning into a referral. So it's almost like a warning system. The very first one, they just get a conversation with me, we reflect on what occurred, and then they get to go to the opportunity room for the rest of that period, go back to class after that as regular. If they get another one within 30 days, they wind up getting some lunch detentions. It changes each quarter. Again, a conversation with me, the rest of the period to reflect on that, get to go back to class for the remainder of the day. If they get a third one within 30 days, that's when it turns into a referral, usually results in some ISS. Again, a conversation with me to reflect on what they did or how they could have done it differently. We actually have a very small percentage that ever get any PAC infractions. I think it's like 10%, 12% maybe at the most. So with those is how they lose points. So I put up here, if they get a PAC infraction, they only lose 10 points. So they can have one little goof up and still get an hour and a half of time, which is fun for them. If they get referrals, depending on the category, they lose 20 points up to 60 points for the more serious categories. And those points reflect to time. So that's how the times goes. 100 points, they get the full 2 hours, and it goes down from there. And we take it all the way down to try to give everybody, if they even have 1 point left, they at least get 15 minutes, because we wanted kids to get motivated to see what it is. So we wanted to make sure everybody, for the most part, I think we had 3 kids this quarter not get any time. So really most kids are getting something. And then basically what happens is the staff each pick an activity, and it can be all kinds of things. I have some examples of the different types of activities. It's been really cool to see some of the different pieces. One of our teachers, he brings stuff from his country and does activities with the kids, and it's so exciting to see. This last time, we had one teacher doing hacky sack. Well, in the Philippines, they do a washer with pieces of grocery bags tied to it, and it's like cut up so it looks like a little, like a thing, like a, I can't even explain what it looks like, but that's how they play in the Philippines, and the kids were out there trying to do it. It was really cool to see like the American way and the Filipino way, so it was exciting to bring that cultural piece as well. Students get 30 minutes in each section, so they can do up to 4 different activities, and it's a lot of fun for them and I think the teachers. And we call for all hands on deck, so nobody's supposed to be working. They're supposed to be out exploring, playing with the kids, enjoying the 2 hours at the end of the day at the last day of the quarter. And the students, it goes over their responsibilities. And they go when they have to sit in the cafeteria or ISS if they don't earn that time. They get about 5 minutes to switch classes, find where they want to go, and then they're in there for 30 minutes. And then these are just some of the activities. In the middle, I mean on both sides are ones that have actually been done, and then I did a poll, a Google form, asking students what kind of things do you want to see. So that's some ideas that they gave us in the middle there that they wanted to try to do. And you'll notice it says no cell phones because we don't want them to be on their cell phones. We have a very strict policy with our cell phones, and we didn't want we don't want them to believe the only thing fun is your phone. Like, you can have fun without that. So, and this is how it's impacted our behavior counts. So the very first one is prior to having anything, so in 23, 24, those were our pack infractions and referral counts. The second one, we didn't start it until the second quarter, and those are our next year. And then so far right now, we have 336, which has went down from the previous year for first quarter. I get a lot of students saying, Ms. McCowan, how many points? How many points does this take? Ms. McCowan, do I have any points left? I have all points this quarter, Ms. McCowan. I hardly got any points last quarter. So they're talking about it. They're excited about it. They will say, I know you guys are going to contact home, and I don't want my parents to know. Plus, I want my little pack celebration time. So I think it's a lot of fun, and we really enjoy it a lot. Do you guys have any questions?
I vote for the snowball fight as well.
You know what, Mrs. Laurent actually did a snowball fight, but I think she did it with like papers or something, or maybe she did it with balloons. Was it water balloons or papers? That's the best we got.
I want to come do folk dancing with them.
And it's neat because I do get to go around, unless something happens, I get to go around and enjoy, and it's so cool to see the kids, the students, just letting loose a little bit. So it's nice. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. President Henry, the second half of the report is in response to the call to the public last month. And I have Assistant Superintendent Shelley Eastman, who's going to share the mandatory, Moodle, all of the things that we talked about.
Madam President, members of the board, I know that one of the biggest concerns that was brought up by many of our staff members is the amount of virtual, they call them the Moodle, that was our old program platform that just kind of stuck, but it's through our Vector system, and they're online trainings that they need to take, and they're pretty lengthy. But it was mandated by state and federal regulations. Why it seemed to have a big uptick this year was this past year, we were required to receive federal money to present what our district's professional development plan is to ensure that all of our staff are receiving the required trainings for state and federal level. So I worked with our HR team and our HR manager, Jenny Bruce, and tried to find the ones that I was not aware of, where they were tracked, and found that we had several that were mandated that we weren't necessarily compliant with. And so with only a month's notice, we needed to submit how we're presenting them, how we track the records, how we ensure that everybody passed them and show the records. We just picked those videos through the Vector system and kind of submitted it. So there were several trainings that would have been happening all along that aren't new, but necessarily they still need to be done. And then we have had a few that were just recent. So I was lucky that we had the amount of time that we found through just the Vector amount was 248 minutes, which is about 4 hours and 28 minutes of just the video time, which we do understand that is quite extensive. I had an employee email me that she set a timer because that doesn't count for the checkpoints that are in there, as well as the assessment time at the end. And it took, without retaking a test or needing any extra time, came to 9 hours and 30 minutes. So we do know that that is an extensive workday just to complete them. So one of the things that we're looking at is we dug deep into the regulations. A lot of them are very specific that the training has to be approved by the state board or ADE or the employee EEOC.
OSHA?
Yeah, and OSHA. There's some that we have to pull from their videos, and those have been put into Vector, but they don't have necessarily a time limit. And so this past week, our HR manager really looked at other options that we can still use Vector. We have to win it. When the mandate says training or ensure compliance, it doesn't allow someone to fast forward. The difference between training and review. Review means you look at a document, you can say yep, and you can sign, and that's typically district policies, policies that have already been written, just acknowledgement that you know where it is and how to find it. But if the legislation says training, we have to ensure that you actually went through training. And if we're not offering the training person to person, the only way we can say you were trained is that there's evidence that the time it took you to watch the video and that you passed the checkpoints in the assessment. That prevents us from allowing you to fast forward, which is quite, we found, cumbersome and frustrating for many employees. And so with the reductions, we're looking into what can we do to help our employees for next year. And she found several videos that we can look at our trainings as the ones that allow us to be more flexible with the training. And with those reductions, we were able to pull out 94 minutes in just the video watching, which comes to about an hour and a half, 2 hours, where you include the assessment. So we are saving them, hopefully for next year, 2 hours. And we also went through the legislation. Some of them are very clearly state once during your employment or if a policy changes. So some of them, like the pest control, one that a lot of them are like, why are we looking about a video about bugs? But it's how to keep your classroom safe and clean to prevent the ants and bugs from coming in, which then prevents us from needing to use more pesticides, which puts our children at risk, which is part of the Healthy School Act. And so it's a one-time video, so we can look at only doing those for our new employees.
So all of us that passed it were free.
You're free. And so that was the biggest change, but we do understand the pressure that it puts. So some other options are, because we were trying to get the videos approved and for us to be able to release the federal money, we're looking at offering up maybe even earlier, so maybe that week before students are on campus, because it wasn't available then, maybe having some of that time while students are not on campus, the alternative videos that we can at least track maybe through Vector, which will be a little bit shorter, and then try to get as many of them that don't specifically say training. If it says review, try to do that acknowledgement. But those are some of our ideas. We're also 5 of them are very specific on time frame. They must be done within 30 days of the first day of school starting, or 2 weeks like are the evaluation training. So the ones that don't have a time restriction, maybe pushing back when they need to have them done so they don't need to feel the pressure. Maybe they can use some additional times, and we're still working with HR to find other solutions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have a question
Yes, please.
regarding that. Because I work in a field that's very regulated as well. One of the trainings that we have to do every year, a couple of the trainings that we have to do every year, there's an option to like read through the introduction, and then you can take the ending assessment, and you have to score 100% on it, and you only get one shot at it. But if you pass it the first time at 100%, you don't have to go through the rest of it. Is that an option?
That's what we're looking at. That's
Okay.
the ones that where if it isn't very specific and says required training or required a proof of assessment of things that we're reading the law enough that will allow that, but we still want to make sure that we're compliant, because I have to submit how we're presenting it, what the parameters are, the time frame, and then we have to show where our records are and what will those records keep. And the records we currently have is how long did it take them to complete the course. So if they looked at it, checked it off, it shows 2 minutes, then they would know that wouldn't meet it. The sexual harassment is very specific. It can't be less than 1 hour, we found out, and ours is actually less. So that is what we're looking into. And so some are very specific on the time, but those, yes, we're going to see how many of those we can do with if you can show that you understand it without the training. But if it says must be trained, it's not optional.
Yeah, because I went through it and I was like, I bet I can do this. I'm giving it like I got 100%. I got one shot at it,
Yeah.
but I got 100%. So I was like, oh.
We also found some of them did specifically exclude maybe our paraprofessionals, that we just said all staff, but we dug in a little bit deeper is for specifically certified staff or students who work, or teachers who work with specific students. So it should relieve more pressure from our paraprofessionals as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, that will take us to item number 6, approval of routine orders of business. Are there any items to be pulled? Anything there a motion then to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to item number 7, to approve ASBA's proposed bylaw changes and to designate Valerie Portillo to submit the vote to ASBA in a manner the board has approved. So we received the bylaw changes in our documentation. Does anyone have any discussion or comments to bring up? They were pretty straightforward, mostly just language changes, and kind of the same thing they're doing with all the other policies, is just making it more readable, combining things into the same places, like items, under the like numbers and letters. So I did not see anything that was a concern to me. But this is a board decision.
No, I'm with you. It was very much just taking some of the lawyer out of the talk and just cleaning it up. It's just a fact check.
Then with that, would there be a motion then to accept ASBA's proposed bylaw changes to allow Valerie to submit the online, it's an online vote, in the way that ASB has set up?
I move to accept the changes as stated.
Second. All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, discussion only of policy GCQF, discipline, suspension, and dismissal of professional staff members.
President Henry, members of the board, this is a discussion only. It was brought up previously, and I think there was a little bit of ambiguous language as part of why we're cleaning things up, where policy GCQF mentions an option between an annual vote that the board would do to outline the procedure for discipline or following it by policy. Since KUSD currently does have a policy that we do follow, I think that precludes the need to vote for an annual vote. We would recommend just following district policy. If you want it on a future agenda for a vote, we can certainly add it. But as of now, our policy does outline the discipline procedure.
Thank you for that explanation. Any other questions? Okay. And we will move on to item number 9, which is the first reading of changes in policies as recommended by ASBA. Items policy number 917 through 959.
President Henry, as you just mentioned, and it might be nice of you to share the information and where you received it, that they're really just going through policies and deleting unnecessary verbiage and adding more clear verbiage in different areas so that it's streamlined. So there's no significant changes other than language.
When I attended the ASBA Law Conference in the beginning of September, I had the opportunity to sit down with a couple of the staff members of ASBA, particularly Charlotte, who is part of the team doing these policy changes. And that is just their desire is to make the policies easier to access, be more readable, condense them so they're more precise without having pieces under this part and then pieces under this part. And so that's the reason for so many deletions, is just because they've moved it to where it makes more sense. And so they'll just continue to do that until all of the policies have been adjusted.
So that's, yeah, thank you. That's the first reading, and then we'll have President Henry introduce the next number, and we'll see if there are questions there.
All right. Then that would be item number 10, the second reading of changes in policies recommended. Item number, or policy advisory number 915 and 916. This is the second reading. I again didn't see anything that was of concern or have questions about. Any other member of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations.
I'll second.
Okay. Last chance for comments or questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries for item number 10. Item number 11 is to approve district representatives who will participate in special education, individual education plans for the 25-26 school year.
Hello, Madam President and members of the board, Dr. Dorner. My name is Cheryl Quinn. I am the Special Education Transition Consultant Coordinator, and I have conducted training for the district representatives. District representatives they're trained to allocate what needs or resources to the students in their IEP meetings. We have 8 additional names are on your list, and we would like approval for them.
Do we have any questions for Mrs. Quinn?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations.
Second. All right, any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We appreciate you coming in and addressing us. All right. Then that takes us to item number 12, possible action to approve the memorandum of agreement between WACOG Head Start and Kingman Unified School District regarding the provision of preschool special education services to eligible children.
So we work with WACOG Head Start. They provide the preschool services to the kids. If they notice any children that may need special education services, they alert us. We provide the testing, and then they continue to provide their education until they're ready to come to us in kindergarten. And the agreement is in your packet, I believe, and we just need the approval of that.
Are there any questions?
How long is the agreement good for?
Through June 30th of 2027.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve.
All right. The first and the second. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again. Item number 13, information related to the transfer of contract RFP 2502-30 from CWDL Certified Public Accountants to Advisant Assurance LLP for audit services.
President Henry, members of the board, this is information only. CWDL Certified Public Accountants was awarded RFP 250230 in June of 2024. CWDL, they are our audit firm. So their teams, their mortgage, Arizona government, and tax teams are now part of the CRETE Professionals Alliance, and the group, CWDL, decided at that time to rebrand their practice under a new name, Advisant. So the companies, it wasn't a merger, it was a partnership with CRETE Professionals. This happened on August 21st, 2025. So the award, the contract stays the same, it's just now under a new name. We would issue a new PO under the new name, Advisant. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you for that information. That takes us to item number 14, to approve Kingman Unified School District's fiscal year 25 annual financial report package.
President Henry, members of the board, the annual financial report, or AFR, includes FY25's revenues and expenditures by different funds, programs, and expense categories throughout the district. The AFR package has 2 reports this year, as the AFR has now absorbed the food service AFR that used to have to be on a separate form. So this is a separate tab on the district AFR. The school level AFR is a separate report which breaks down our district spending by school. So minus our carryover, our budget capacity in FY25 between M&O and capital was $60,260,544. Our AFR shows our final expenditures in both funds was $62,736,400. Our deficit to our revenues was $2,475,856. And that's about what we've been estimating. This deficit is taken care of by the carryover. It does reduce our carryover going into next year, of course, but we at least have the carryover to take care of that, so that's great. While our FY26 budget shows we have a carryover between both funds of about $10,253,000. As part of our continuing reconciliation efforts, this may change as we may revise previous year's budgets to make sure all budget capacity and expenditures were properly accounted for. And some of the years, budget revisions were not done, and so we want to go make sure that we're making sure those are all correct. We've discussed our student count in ADM at length the past couple of years, and the beginning of FY26 has seen a decline of enrollment from the end of FY25. So the district continues discussions of retaining and attracting students alongside aligning expenditures and staffing with current enrollment. Approval of the district's FY25 annual financial report package will approve the AFR and school level AFR. Do you have questions?
President Henry, let me add, I'm going to give an accolade to our finance department that balancing the AFR, the annual financial report, is no easy feat. And there are tens of thousands of line items of expenditures and revenues. And Margot Jones, Executive Director Jones, and her team brought it in at a complete balance, which I think deserves a round of applause.
Now to keep it that way.
The pressure's not.
I'm feeling it.
That's what I told Dr. Dorner. There were so many little tiny numbers. How did they do that?
There are. I have big screens.
You have to.
Yes, you do.
All right, then. Is there a motion to then approve the fiscal year annual financial report for 2025?
I move to approve the annual financial report for fiscal year 2025.
Second. Second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it. All right. That takes us to item number 15, approve the listed donations.
I'll make a motion to approve all of the donations.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Any
Thank you
opposed?
to everyone.
Yes, thanks to our support service. All right, that takes us to item number 16, possible action on a request by Sarah Herrero to be released from her employment contract effective December 31st, 2025, and to employ her in the same teaching position beginning January 5th, 2026, as a leased employee through ESI.
President Henry, members of the board, Sarah Herrero is a teacher at Lee Williams High School. She's been with us since 2015, and she is another staff member that's eligible to retire, so she's wanting to do so at the end of this year and come back January 5th through ESI. And we recommend supporting that decision.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
All right. Comments or questions?
Let's keep all the teachers we can.
Yeah, I agree. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, that takes us to item number 17, a possible motion to move into executive session for Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.03A1 to discuss the request to be released from employment contract by Kimberly Marroquin, Vicki Free, Paul Blake, Shannon Stowe, and Michelle White. Is there a motion to move into executive session?
I make a motion to move into the executive session. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We will move into executive session at this time. In favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 19, possible action on a request by Kimberly Marquin, teacher, to be released from her fiscal year 25-26 employment contract effective September 16th, 2025.
I would like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Kimberly Marquin, but with the request to impose a fee for liquidation damages and to report to the state for a breach of contract.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I abstained from this particular vote. Item number 20, possible action on a request by Vicki Free, teacher, to be released from her fiscal year 2025-26 employment contract effective September 25th, 2025.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request to be released from contract with an imposition of a fee for liquidation damages and to report to the board for a breach of contract.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 21, possible action on a request by Blake Paul, teacher, to be released from his fiscal year 2025 employment contract.
I would like to make a motion to approve the request to be released from the contract without imposition of a fee nor without reporting to the board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 22, possible action on a request by Shannon Stowe, teacher, to be released from her fiscal year 25-26 employment contract effective September 25th, 2025.
I would like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Ms. Stowe with an imposition of a fee for liquidation damages and to report to the board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 23, possible action on a request by Michelle White, instructional coach, to be released from her fiscal year 2025-26 employment contract effective September 25th, 2025.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Ms. White without an imposition of a fee and without reporting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to item number 24. Is there a motion to move into executive session then to discuss the school board self-evaluation?
I will make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
second.
All right, so we have reconvened into, oh, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We have reconvened into regular session for possible action on regards to the school board self-evaluation. We filled it out, we have an agreement,
We would like to share our comments with our superintendent at a,
I think that's appropriate. So, I stuck it in here.
do you want me to make a motion
To accept our evaluation?
and to share the comments with you?
Oh, sure.
I'd like to make a motion to accept our self-evaluation and to share our comments with district staff. Is there a second?
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, because that was an executive session, it's always hard to self-evaluate yourself, but in doing it independently, most of us had come to the same determination that we were satisfactory in all categories, with the exception that board members make every effort to become acquainted with the personnel of the district. We felt as individuals there may be areas where we could improve in that area, making sure that we know names of people who we may be interacting with through the board and on a regular basis. Under the last part is general statements. It lists 4 priorities or challenges that the board faces. And while we kind of had maybe them in different places and wording differently, we all really kind of had the same thoughts that student recruitment and retention is one of our first challenges and priorities, along with recruiting and keeping great staff so that the students will want to be in our schools. Funding, because of the top 2, then funding becomes a challenge, and we want to continue to find balance there. And then figure out some ways to address our current student absenteeism and academic achievements on those. I don't think I'm going out of bounds when all 4 of us really do not like required state testing and would prefer that our students really be challenged in their academic achievements. Weaknesses that we've observed in the operation of the school system. We feel like we could have a more user-friendly digital footprint. Facebook for the schools is easy, but the website, it seems for parents and for schools is maybe hard to navigate in up-to-date, real-time. Finding things on the website can sometimes be difficult. And I'll just give a silly example, but I was trying to find out what the official colors for KHS were. Are they blue and gold or is it blue and yellow? And that was something I couldn't find actually. So if other parents...
I tried to find the, not going by the calendar that Valerie sends me because that's as a board member, but as a parent, I was going to the website to try to see what like the choir and the band were doing and what musical or in what theater was doing, and it's not listed anywhere at Kingman High School or Lee Williams.
All of that.
Yep.
Because we feel very similarly, and we're trying to, because we have the app, and we'll talk more later, but we love your goals, and we're on the same page.
And then under weaknesses, we also felt that consistently enforcing the code of conduct for staff and students across all campuses could potentially improve so that students want to be in our schools and campus and not feel like their learning environment is being disruptive. Some of the significant accomplishment we feel the school system has made during this past year is passing our audit. The town hall involvements across the different schools from our community, we felt like that is a good accomplishment. We love the growth in our CTE programs and the diverse educational pathways and the excitement that that is creating for our students. And so those are some of the things that we listed, and we feel very privileged to be board members, and we thank all of our district staff for their passion and input in growing good citizens.
I'll make a motion.
Any comments or questions for us? All right, then, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget this time. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion adjourned. Thank you, guys.